BMW has evolved its F41 series small hatch into this 4th generation F70 series model. Changes include smarter looks, a redesigned interior and upgraded media connectivity. Plus, the company reckons it's still the most rewarding steer in the premium compact hatch sector. Big claims for an important car.
With cars, generations come and go, and some of them aren't really generations at all. Take the model we look at here, an F70 era design, which BMW refers to as the 4th generation 1 Series. Actually, it's merely a heavy facelift of the Mark III design that arrived in 2019. An F40 contender significant because it switched the range into line with its two most immediate rivals in the segment for compact, premium badged hatches, Audi's A3 Sportback and the Mercedes A-Class. The current versions of both of those cars have been very lightly updated in recent times. BMW hopes this more far-reaching package of changes will make this 1 Series stand out. There's smarter looks, big cabin updates and a considerable slimming down of a model range that can only now be had in petrol-powered automatic form with a choice of just 3 engines. The result is the simplest 1 Series lineup we've had since this car first arrived back in 2004. To take a closer look, you'll need the usual comprehensive car and driving road test. Back in 2019, this 1 Series switched to front-wheel drive, but did so in a very BMW kind of way. Well, it only comes in one front-driven guise now, in the form of the base 120 model. This uses a 1.5-litre, mild hybrid, 3-cylinder petrol engine, developing 170 horsepower and 280 newton-meters of torque. And like all current ones, can only be had with 7-speed, Steptronic, dual-clutch auto transmission. It's an eager enough little engine dispatching 62 miles an hour in 7.8 seconds en route to 140 miles an hour. The alternative 123 xDrive derivative offers 4-wheel drive and uses a 4-cylinder unit featuring 48-volt mild hybrid technology, resulting in a system output of 218 horsepower. There's now no diesel option in the range. With this improved 1 Series, BMW says increased body structure agility, optimised kinematics, highly preloaded anti-roll bar mounts and new shock absorber technology have improved drivability. And the caster of the front wheels has been increased by 20%, ensuring particularly stable directional stability and optimised steering feedback. Overall though, don't expect the drive experience to be much different. Somewhat firm of ride, but with a grippy, confident sense of purpose that rivals can't quite match. And precise, accurate steering. That's helped by an engineering balance that gets within a fraction of achieving perfect 50-50 front to rear weight distribution. For drive settings, BMW provides what it calls My Modes, some of which, like Sport and Efficiency, affect drive response, and some of which, like Personal, Expressive, Relaxed, Digital Art and so on, are more about screen colours and graphics. The ultimate 1 Series remains the top M135 xDrive hot hatch flagship model we're trying here. As with the previous generation, M135i xDrive, this top variant has all-wheel drive, but its 2-litre 4-cylinder engine now offers fractionally less power, 6 horsepower less, than its predecessor, though the 300 horsepower output isn't much different. So the 4.9 second 0 to 62 mile an hour sprint time is only a tenth slower than the old model. Top speed remains electronically limited to 155 miles an hour. Oh, and when you select Sport, the added fake, iconic soundtrack is remarkably satisfying and sporty. It sounds rather less appealing if you turn off the synthesized speaker accompaniment. Like the previous F40 M135i model, this F70 car has launch control and a mechanical Torsen limited slip differential to get its grip to the gravel, which is much the same kind of approach that's on offer from obvious rivals like the Golf R and the Audi S3. There's not the same challenge in driving it that characterised the last decade's pre-2019 era F20 six-cylinder model, but then you might have expected that. This F70 M135 xDrive, like its F40 predecessor, differs from lesser 1 Series variants with its stiffer suspension setup, which in combination with the 10mm lower ride height does, in truth, make the ride somewhat over-firm for our country's terrible tarmac. That's despite the standard inclusion of M adaptive suspension, which doesn't help much and is only controllable via use of the different drive modes. In our view, you'd be unwise to make the ride even stiffer by paying extra for BMW's M Dynamic Pack, which gives you a more focused dynamic chassis setup that the brand says can unlock a new character for this fast hatch. In some ways, even in this standard form, it's already got a more focused character than it had before, courtesy of quite a few subtle engineering tweaks. At the front, the subframe features an extra couple of bracing bars for extra steering accuracy, and the electrically assisted rack features a quick ratio of 14:1. The standard 120 model is set at 15:1. Finally, the brake master cylinder is bigger than that of a more ordinary 1 Series for better response and more consistent pedal pressure. You'd clearly recognise this as an evolution of the F40 front-driven 1 Series, but the changes are undoubtedly significant. There's a sleeker nose, which sees swept-back headlights, frame kidney grills that now lose the previous colour-coded central strake, merging instead to form a single large vertical panel. In profile, a previous owner will notice the embossed number 1 on the C-pillar, incorporated within the usual brand Hofmeister kink over the rear wheel. The dimensions have changed a surprising amount. This Mark IV car 42mm longer and 25mm taller than its predecessor. And at the back, there are revised LED light clusters and a restyled bumper. As you might expect, this top M135 xDrive variant has its own unique M performance look. There's an M radiator grille with horizontal bars, M exterior mirror caps, and 4 exhaust tailpipes to make this variant instantly recognisable as the top-of-the-range model. All F70 era 1 Series models feature big changes inside, where the cabin gains a single-piece curved infotainment display made up of a 10.25-inch digital instrument cluster and a 10.7-inch centre screen, the latter running the brand's latest OS 9 software. This features quick select on-screen shortcut functions, which further reduce the dashboard button count. Other changes include redesigned seats, a new steering wheel and a leather-free interior. Customers can specify Econair upholstery made up of recycled PET. Avoid base spec and you get lovely illuminated aluminium hexacube interior trim. Does any small premium badged hatch feel smarter than this inside? We think not. As before, this M135's interior is set apart by M seatbelts and M sports seats with these lovely inset M panels that illuminate at night. The tricolour M stitching on the passenger side of the dashboard is a classy touch too. And there's also a bespoke M steering wheel with a red 12 o'clock marker and large gear shift paddles. Through this wheel, you view the redesigned 10.25-inch instrument screen. You vary its layout via the content options you access using this little cogs controller on the right-hand steering wheel spoke. An M screen, journey data, an assisted view, a route planner, a map screen, a G meter, and a media radio screen. The same cogs controller allows you to vary the layout of the redesigned head-up display. There are standard, assisted, sports, and curve ahead view options. If you happen to own the old F40 model, you'll notice this new 10.7-inch central infotainment screen. Unfortunately, you can no longer access it via a convenient lower iDrive controller, but BMW's added quick select on-screen shortcut functions and improved the incorporated personal assistant voice control system. There are media, phone and nav options along this monitor's right-hand frame, and the home screen is divided into the usual customizable widget sections. Here we've got mapping, radio and destination input. The little apps icon along the bottom edge of the display connects you into rows of little icons, which, depending on the options boxes you've ticked, can include some of BMW's choicest big car features like Wi-Fi, video, a drive recorder, Alexa functionality, and a whole range of Air console games. Plus, you can buy more features from the incorporated Connected Drive store. Cabin storage space provision is just about acceptable. There's a lidded compartment between the seats, a reasonable glove box and small door bins. You'll find USB-C ports and a 12-volt socket by the cup holders. There's a charging mat at the bottom of the centre stack, and there are ticket clips in the sun visors. As usual in this class, rear seat space is at a bit of a premium, but a couple of adults should fit okay on most journeys, and it's far better than the pre-2019 era rear-driven versions of this car. The disadvantage of these M135 front sports seats is that there are no seatback pockets, but BMW does provide an armrest with cup holders, big door bins, overhead reading lights, twin vents and twin USB-C ports. If you specified this large panoramic glass roof, there's a very airy cabin feel too. Out back, the powered tailgate rises to reveal boot capacity that, as with the old F40 model, is rated at 380 litres, which is the same as an Audi A3 Sportback, but 10 litres more than a Mercedes A-Class. There's no adjustable height boot floor, but there's a lot of space below the cargo base, though only because BMW refuses to fit any kind of spare wheel. It's a practical space with netting and a light to the right and bag hooks on either side. If you need more room, the backrest has a convenient 40-20-40 split, allowing you to push long items like skis forward in between two rear-seated folk. With everything flat, up to 1,200 litres of space is available. At the time of this test in late autumn 2024, prices were opening at just over £31,000 for the 120 in base sport trim. You'll need £2,000 more for the more dynamic-looking M Sport version most will want. The four-cylinder all-wheel drive 123 X-Drive M Sport required just over £36,000 from you at the time of this review. And as we filmed, this top M135 X-Drive was priced at around £43,000. All those figures represent a bit of a price jump from before, but automatic transmission's now standard and you do get more equipment. If you want some competitor comparisons, we'll tell you that those figures represent a £2,500 to £3,000 saving over comparable Mercedes A-Class models, primarily the A200 and the A35. BMW's base 120 is priced at about the same level as a comparable Audi A3 Sportback 35 TFSI S-Tronic, which has 20 horsepower less. And this M135 undercuts an Audi S3 by around £2,500, though an M135 has around 30 horsepower less. Those two rival German brands offer the most direct alternatives to this BMW, unless you're prepared to consider something slightly left field and notably less sporty in the premium compact hatch segment, like, say, a Lexus LBX or a DS4. If it's a 1 Series you have to have, then you'll be wanting some details on spec. So let's take a look at that now. Even a 120 with base sport trim comes with 17-inch wheels, LED headlights, rear parking sensors, a rear view camera, power folding mirrors and an alarm. Inside with sport trim you get automatic air conditioning, heated front seats, ambient lighting and a sports steering wheel. Media connectivity comes via a BMW Live Cockpit Plus package, which gives you a 10.25-inch instrument display and a 10.7-inch central control display for the infotainment. MediaTek includes BMW Maps navigation, the brand's intelligent personal assistant voice control setup, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, a Wi-Fi interface, remote software upgrades and 4G LTE connectivity. Upgrade your 120 to M Sport trim or choose the 123 X-Drive variant and you get larger 18-inch M Lite Y-spoke bi-colour wheels and an M Sport exterior styling pack. Plus, the cabin gains a chunky M Sport steering wheel, an anthracite headliner, illuminated aluminium hexacube interior trim, and heated sports seats upholstered in a combination of black M Alcantara and Veganza faux leather. This M135, as you'd expect, gets all the features you'd find on an ordinary M Sport 1 Series, plus a few more. There's an M rear spoiler, red M Sport brake calipers, sun protection glass, and a Harman Kardon surround sound audio system. Plus, drivers will be pleased to note the inclusion of M adaptive suspension and an M quad exhaust system. As for options, well, your dealer is going to want you to add the technology pack, which gets you adaptive LED headlights with a high beam assistant, comfort access keyless entry, an anti-dazzle rear view mirror, and a wireless charging mat. The Technology Plus pack gives you all this, along with a head-up display, the upgraded BMW Live Cockpit professional cabin screen system, and a Parking Assistant Plus setup that'll automatically park the car for you. As for individual options, well, rather meanly across the range, BMW makes you pay extra for a powered tailgate, a load-through 40-20-40 split rear bench, and dual-zone air conditioning. You may also want to look at the panoramic glass roof that we've got here. And with M Sport trim, BMW offers an optional Harman Kardon surround sound audio system upgrade. Plus, you can add a heated steering wheel and front active seats that react to the bends. All features also fitted here. You may additionally want a tow bar, and a parking assistant professional package is also available, allowing parking and manoeuvring to be controlled by smartphone. Feeling sporty? Well, avoid base trim and you'll be offered the optional M Sport Pro pack, which gives you extended M Lights Shadowline exterior trim, an M rear spoiler, M seatbelts and red M brake calipers. The M135 can be had with an optional M Dynamic pack, which gives you 19-inch M forged Y-spoke wheels, a dynamic chassis setup, M compound brakes with grey calipers and M Sport seats. On to safety. Now, as well as all the usual airbags, standard active guard camera features include the driving assistant package with front collision warning, lane departure warning, exit warning and traffic sign recognition, as well as the brand's parking assistant with reversing assistant package. Most of the more sophisticated camera safety features, though, do cost extra, a few of them in the driving assistant plus pack, £700 more, but most of them in the driving assistant professional pack, £1,700 more. BMW isn't developing any more combustion engines, but it's doing its best to improve efficiency on the fossil-fueled units it already has. Even this top M135 xDrive manages up to 37.1 mpg on the combined cycle and up to 174 grams per kilometre of CO2, which is vastly better than what you get from a rival Audi S3 or Mercedes A35. If you can't quite stretch to an M135, the 123 xDrive is worth a look. Fast but notably more frugal, managing up to 47.9 mpg and up to 135 grams per kilometre. The big 1 Series business for BMW will be done with the base 120. Its 3-cylinder, 48-volt mild hybrid petrol engine is from the latest generation of BMW Group modular engines and delivers up to 53.2 mpg on the combined cycle and up to 121 grams per kilometre of CO2 emissions. To give you some class perspective, that exactly matches the returns of a rival Audi A3 Sportback 35 TFSI, which has 20 horsepower less and is about 10% better than you get from a rival Mercedes A200. All these cars use mild hybrid tech for their petrol engines. It's all relatively ineffectual and it all works much the same way. There's a tiny battery that stores energy from regenerative braking, which is then used to aid acceleration and run the engine stop-start system. Across the 1 Series range, efficiency is also aided by coasting and auto start-stop functions that take their cue from the data supplied by the navigation system, the front-mounted camera, and the sensors for the optional driving assistance systems. The coasting function decouples the powertrain from the transmission at cruising speeds. On to the warranty package. BMW's warranty only lasts for 3 years, but it includes an emergency breakdown service and at least it isn't mileage limited, unlike the comparable package you get as standard with a rival Audi. You can of course extend the warranty with either monthly or annual payments. There's a 3-year paintwork warranty and the usual 12-year anti-corrosion warranty. This enhanced 1 Series will be more difficult to ignore for those who might otherwise have chosen an Audi or Mercedes in this segment. The cabin's far smarter than it was, and this model is certainly far better prepared than its predecessor in terms of media connectivity and camera-driven safety provision. Now you'd be able to downsize into it far more easily if it was necessary to do so from a larger BMW model. That would probably mean a switch from rear-wheel drive to the front-driven format that seemed so different when the earlier F40 version of this car first arrived back in 2019. But the market seems well used to that now. Whether the dramatically slimmed-down F70 1 Series model range will go down quite as well is another question. Overall, though, De Anza has become a whole lot more competitive in this guise. About to choose a Mercedes A-Class, an Audi A3 or even a plusher Volkswagen Golf? Well, you really ought to try one of these as well. You might be surprised just how much you like it.